The 5 aggregates of attachment. What 5? The body aggregate of attachment. The feeling, perception, volition, consciousness aggregates of attachment. These are to be fully understood by direct knowledge. And what monks are the things to be abandoned by direct knowledge? Ignorance and craving for existence. These are the things to be abandoned by direct knowledge. And what monks are the things to be realized by direct knowledge? True knowledge and liberation. These are the things to be realized by direct knowledge. And what monks are the things to be developed by direct knowledge? Samatha and vipassana. These are the things to be developed by direct knowledge. And how is it? Samatha and vipassana is tranquility or tranquilization of the mind and contemplation. Contemplation refers mostly to contemplation of the Buddha's words, the Dhamma. And how is it, monks, that when a monk develops and cultivates the Noble Eightfold Path, he fully understands by direct knowledge those things that are to be fully understood by direct knowledge. He develops by direct knowledge those things that are to be developed. Here, monks, a monk develops right view, right thoughts, right speech, etc. up to right concentration, which are based upon seclusion, dispassion and cessation, maturing in release. It is in this way, monks, that a monk who develops and cultivates the Noble Eightfold Path, so that he fully understands by direct knowledge those things that are to be fully understood by direct knowledge. He abandons what are to be abandoned, and he develops what are to be developed, etc. So this sutta tells us what we need to understand is the 5 aggregates of attachment. And to understand the 5 aggregates of attachment, we need the theory and the practice. The theory is to study the Buddha's words concerning the 5 aggregates. And then the practice is to contemplate the 5 aggregates, how they arise, how they cease, how they are subject to conditions, etc. And then the things to be abandoned are ignorance and craving for existence. Ignorance we abandon by learning the Buddha's words. But even learning the Buddha's words is not enough. Because if you have a lot of your 5 hindrances are very strong, then even you read the Buddha's words or listen to the Buddha's words, it doesn't go in very much, doesn't go in very deep. So we need to meditate to get rid of the 5 hindrances by practicing samatha meditation. And then when the 5 hindrances are eliminated, then we can understand the Buddha's words and be rid of ignorance. And this craving for existence, we can only abandon when we really understand the Dhamma. The thing is to be realized by direct knowledge is true knowledge and liberation. Things to be developed, samatha and vipassana. Samatha, of course, you have to meditate to practice to get samadhi, one-pointedness of mind. And vipassana is listening to the Buddha's words or reading the suttas and contemplating to understand. So when we practice the Noble Eightfold Path, these will develop naturally. The next sutta, 45.160. Suppose, monks, that when the river Ganges slants, slopes and inclines towards the east, a great crowd of people would come along, bringing a shovel and a basket, thinking, we will make this river Ganges slant, slope and incline towards the west. What do you think, monks? Would that great crowd of people be able to make the river Ganges slant, slope and incline towards the west? No, Venerable Sir. For what reason? Because the river Ganges slants, slopes and inclines towards the east, and it is not easy to make it slant, slope and incline towards the west. That great crowd of people would only reap fatigue and vexation. And the Buddha said, so too, monks, When a monk is developing and cultivating the Noble Eightfold Path, kings or royal ministers, friends or colleagues, relatives or kinsmen might invite him to accept wealth, saying, "Come, good man, why let these saffron robes weigh you down? Why roam about with a shaven head and a begging bowl? Come, having returned to the lower life, enjoy wealth and do meritorious deeds." Indeed, monks, when that monk is developing and cultivating the Noble Eightfold Path, it is impossible that he will give up the training and return to the lower life. For what reason? Because for a long time his mind has slanted, sloped, and inclined towards seclusion. Thus, it is impossible that he will return to the lower life. And how monks does a monk develop and cultivate the Noble Eightfold Path? Here, monks, a monk develops right view, right thoughts, right speech, etc., up to right concentration, which are based upon seclusion, dispassion, and cessation, maturing in release. It is in this way, monks, that a monk develops and cultivates the Noble Eightfold Path. Let's see another sutta. So, the Buddha says, if a monk really practices the Noble Eightfold Path, then his mind inclines towards seclusion. It can be that he might want to stay alone, or even if he stays with others, then he is aloof. He's aloof from others. He doesn't go into people's kuti and chat and all that. So if he practices seclusion for a long time, then he wants to be alone. Then he will not want to disrobe and go back to society. When you go back to society, you have to mix with a lot of people. When you mix with a lot of people, your mind is always scattered. The next sutta is 45.175, page 1564. The Buddha said, "Monks, there are these 7 underlying tendencies." What 7? The underlying tendency to sensual lust, the underlying tendency to aversion, the underlying tendency to views, the underlying tendency to doubt, the underlying tendency to conceit, the underlying tendency to lust for existence, the underlying tendency to ignorance. These are the 7 underlying tendencies. This Noble Eightfold Path is to develop for direct knowledge of these 7 underlying tendencies, for the full understanding of them, for their utter destruction, for their abandoning. So these are the underlying tendencies within each person: the tendency to lust, to aversion, to views, to doubt, to conceit, to lust for existence, to ignorance. The next sutta is 45.177. Monks, there are these 5 hindrances, pancha nivarana. What 5? The hindrance of sensual desire, the hindrance of ill will or anger, the hindrance of sloth and torpor, the hindrance of restlessness and remorse, the hindrance of doubt. These are the 5 hindrances. This Noble Eightfold Path is to be developed for direct knowledge of these 5 hindrances, for the full understanding of them, for their utter destruction, for their abandoning. These 5 hindrances are 5 things that obstruct us from seeing clearly. So they are the cause of our being very bodo and blur. So when we practice meditation, and when the mind becomes focused, and then these 5 melt away. There's a lot about these 5 hindrances in the chapter on the 7 Bojjhanga. because they are the opposite of the 7 Bojjhanga. 7 Bojjhanga bring you to enlightenment. These 5 hindrances bring you away from enlightenment. That's why when we meditate, the most important aim of meditation is to get rid of the 5 hindrances. When the 5 hindrances are got rid of, then only wisdom can arise. The next sutta is 45.179. Monks, there are these 5 lower fetters, sangyojana. What 5? Identity view, sakaya ditti, doubt, the distorted grasp of rules and vows, ilabhata paramasa, sensual desire, ill will. These are the 5 lower fetters. This noble eightfold path is to be developed for direct knowledge of these 5 lower fetters, for the full understanding of them, for their destruction, for their abandoning. These 5 lower fetters, when a person attains Satipatana, the first fruit, first fruit of Aryahood, the first 3 are eliminated: identity view, doubt, and attachment to rules and vows. And then when a person attains Sakadagamin, the second fruit, then sensual desire and ill will are weakened. And then when one attains Anagamin, sensual desire and ill will are eliminated, so that all the 5 lower factors are eliminated for an Anagamin. This identity view is to identify oneself with the body and the mind. Doubt is doubt about the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, not having faith. And then this attachment to rules and rituals, or rules and vows, means cling to these rules and vows, not understanding that they are only meant for a purpose. The next sutta, 45.180. Monks, there are these 5 higher fetters. What 5? Lust for form, lust for the formless, conceit, restlessness, ignorance. These are the 5 higher fetters. The Noble Eightfold Path is to be developed for direct knowledge of these 5 higher fetters, for the full understanding of them, for their utter destruction, for their abandoning. What Noble Eightfold Path? Here monks, a monk develops right view, right thoughts, right speech, etc. up to right concentration, which are based upon seclusion, dispassion and cessation, maturing in release. This Noble Eightfold Path is to be developed for direct knowledge of these 5 higher factors, for the full understanding of them, for their utter destruction, for their abandoning. I don't know why they repeat. So these 5 higher factors, what are they? The first one is lust for form. Actually it means attachment to be reborn in the form realm. The desire to be reborn in the jhana planes, the form realm. Then the second one is the desire to be reborn in the formless realm. That means the realm of the arupa jhanas. The conceit is the I am, that feeling, that perception within us that I exist. And restlessness is another one. Ignorance is another one. Ignorance of the Noble Eightfold Path. So, ignorance of the 4 Noble Truths. So, when a person destroys the 5 higher factors, only he attains arahanthood. Arahant destroys the 5 higher factors. So you see how these 5 higher factors, ignorance is only destroyed by an arahant. Even an anagamin has not destroyed ignorance, still has a bit of ignorance. And restlessness also. Restlessness, only the arahant is totally cool. Arahant is totally cool, and there's no more restlessness. And then the conceit I exist. Only the Arahant has eliminated that. So when the Arahant eliminates all these, he stands way above all the others in the world. That's the end of that chapter 45. Maybe we go into the Bojjhangas tomorrow.